Hi, I'm Michael, and this is California. And right now, 65 million Americans are on the Social Security Benefits Program, receiving their Social Security checks every single month. Now, every year, Social Security receives something called a COLA, a cost of living adjustment, which helps seniors continue to pay for the things that have increased in cost over the last year. Now, for example, in 2018, they received a COLA of 2.8%. In 2019, they received a COLA of 1.6%. Now, although 2020 is not over yet, if the economy continues to stay on the current trajectory, it's possible that for 2021, seniors and Social Security beneficiaries may receive a $0 or a very small dollar COLA increase as a result of the economic situation. So today, we're going to talk about what is a COLA, how is it calculated, and how the current economic situation could affect that COLA in 2021. Now, if you like this information, if you find it interesting, you find it helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Okay, so let's talk about what is a COLA. And quite simply, COLA is just a cost of living adjustment. So essentially, when you get your Social Security check every month, every year, they're going to increase it a little bit to help you mitigate the cost of everything in life going up as well. So things like the cost for rent and things like gas. As those things continue to go up, if your Social Security checks stay the same, you really wouldn't be able to survive after a couple of years because you have the same amount of money, but you essentially couldn't purchase the same amount of stuff. So it's really important for the COLA to happen because without it, people wouldn't be able to live with dignity, especially with the additional cost for seniors for things like Medicare or Part B or Part C or Part D. All those costs are continuing to go up. And without the COLA, it would mean that it would make things very difficult for seniors trying to live their lives based on just their Social Security income. Now let's talk about how the COLA is actually calculated. So essentially what happens is the Social Security Administration uses an index called the Consumer Price Index for Urban Wage Earners and Clerical Workers, or CPIW. And what that is basically what clerical workers would pay for their goods and services on average month to month. So they take the average month from 2018 and 2019 and they compare them side by side, and then the difference percentage-wise is how much COLA somebody would get. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart and see how CPIWs change from 2018 to 2019 and how ultimately that affects the COLA. So for example, on this first chart, you can see here that for months July, August, and September, it's for 2018 and 2019. So for example, in September, you can see it was 246.56. 2019 is 250.25. So they take the difference in those amounts after they average out the 3 months together and figure out what the percentage difference is, and that's what equals the COLA. So for 2018, for July, August, and September, the average amount was 246.35. In 2019, it was 250.20. Right? So the difference between those two is 1.6%, which is ultimately what became the COLA for 2019, the increase on Social Security beneficiaries. Now, where things get a little tricky is when the amount for the future year or for the current year actually continues to go down. So let's take a look at the chart, the second chart for 2019 and 2020. Now, obviously, we don't have July, August, September yet because it's not July, August, or September, but we can look at the months that we do have, January, February, and March, and April, and make that comparison and look at what the difference is. So for 2019, you can see that in January, the CPIW was 245.13. In 2020, it was 251.36. Okay, so that looks good. The CPIW is higher in 2020 than it was in 2019, which means that there will be some sort of COLA. Now, when we get down to March, it still looks good, but then we look at April when the pandemic broke out and as the economy continued to shut down, and we see that the CPIW for 2020 actually starts to go down. And it's not less than April yet in 2019, but it's still going down from where it was before. So the question is, if the economy continues at the same trajectory, being locked down, being shut down, and doesn't recover in the same way that it was previously, it's possible that CPIW for 2020 in the months of July, August, September could be less than what it was for the previous year in 2019. And this is where the problems begin to happen, because of the fact that if that is the case, when they start to look at the percentage of difference between 2019 and 2020, it could be zero or even could be negative, which would mean that senior citizens and Social Security beneficiaries would receive a COLA of either $0 or a very, very, very small increase. Looking at the prospect of a year with a $0 COLA like 2021 could have, it's really disheartening to think about seniors and Social Security beneficiaries who rely specifically on their Social Security money to survive. Because without that increase, it doesn't mean the cost for everything else is going to stop going up. It just means that they're going to stop receiving more money. And it ultimately means they're not going to have as much money to help them survive their daily life. Now, the Senior Citizens League, an advocate group for older Americans, estimates that Social Security COLA for 2021 could be just 0.8%, which would be a substantial reduction from the previous year, 2019, at 1.6%. Now, one reprieve to this would be seniors who have Medicare. So if they have Medicare and the COLA is at 0%, there's something called a hold harmless provision that protects them from having to pay the increased Medicare cost, meaning that the Medicare cost can't go above whatever the COLA increase is. So if it's $0, it means that the Medicare, whatever it goes up to, they won't have to pay the additional amount because of that hold harmless provision. But for those seniors who have some money in the bank or don't meet the eligibility requirements based on income, they're going to have to pay both. So they're going to get less money, and they're going to have to pay the additional amount for Medicare if it does actually go up for 2021. As we can see, looking at the trajectory of the economy, it could be a tough year for seniors in 2021, especially if things don't turn around and they can't get any sort of increase in their COLA, specifically because things always still continue to get more expensive. Their gas is going to get more expensive. Their transportation is going to get more expensive. Rent goes up. But there are some things that are specific to seniors that also continue to inflate at a higher rate than the general population that they still have to pay. So things like Medicare, things like prescription drugs costs, and things like that, where those are going to specifically affect seniors. And without the increased COLA, it means they're going to be left with less money to cover those daily costs. Now, unfortunately, I have not seen any sort of proposals yet out of the federal government, out of the Senate, out of the House, anyone talking about how to address the potentiality of a COLA being $0 and seniors being left without the money they need to have for their daily expenses. Now, luckily, we're still 5-6 months away from July, August, and September, so it's possible the economy could turn around and things could get better, and obviously they get more money out of that COLA if that happens. But if it doesn't, we would hope to see some sort of change, some sort of proposal, some sort of bill to help seniors through that time frame. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope that you found it helpful or interesting or at least useful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Also, if you have any questions, you have any comments, feel free to put them down below. We love your comments and questions. We'll be happy to answer them in a new video or a new post as soon as we can. Now, also, we here at California, we know health insurance. So whether it's covered California or private health insurance or Medicare or Medicaid or Medi-Cal or even health insurance for a small group, that is exactly what we can do. And our services are 100% free for anybody here in California. Because I know it can be very frustrating if you're going from your work insurance to private insurance, or if you're turning 65 and you're trying to figure out what are the best Medicare options for you. We can walk you through that whole process and help you look at the plans and the budgets that fit your needs best. So other than that, I'm Michael, and this is California, wishing you a happy, healthy day.